Um, we're a school that's won 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football wise, we're just excited. I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC. We I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
In a second.
Hey, by the way, we're UCLA. We're in LA. By the way. Any questions? Geez. Football coming up on the halftime show from Cobblestone. Halftime show. Terry Ford hanging out here. Haley is fixing our table to make sure you can see the 107.5 The Game tablecloth. She's like our remote broadcast mom. It's so cute. She's gonna iron it later. Also, Kale's here, just watching her, making sure that yeah, he's supervising her. He's doing a heck of a job. Heck of a job. We're here. We'll have some coaches here in a little bit when they come off the golf course. Coach Beamer will be here with us as well. Probably in the 2 o'clock hour. Jay Phillips also will be hanging as we roll the show like we do every year. It's like our tradition. Birdies with Beamer at Cobblestone. And the media will get their last chance to ask Q&A with the head football coach until you get to summer practice. All right, we heard that to Sean Foster just a second ago at Big Ten Media Days, Tyler. My favorite part of it, by the way, football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. My favorite part when he goes, we're UCLA and we're in LA. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. You know what I would love, and this will never happen. Well, Steve Spurrier kind of did this once talking to the media here where he had some fun talking about, his team's practice. When he went, quarterbacks can't throw, wide receivers can't catch. I mean, he was having fun with it. I would love to see and obviously it would have to be a coach who's established, he's got skins in the game, programs in a really nice place. Just get up and go, well, be quite honest with you, I have zero desire to be here on SEC Media Days. I'd rather, honest to God, be anywhere but here for SEC Media Days talking to you folks. Our football team this year, I think we're going to suck. And let me tell you why. I mean, I would just love to have a guy do a little freestyle, have some fun, make up crap kind of thing. See, I think Lane Kiffin could do something like that perfect. I think I would just love to see a coach go up there and just have fun with it and just let it go. You know what I mean? It would be great. It would be so much fun. But, look, Deshaun Foster, does this make Deshaun Foster a head coach, a good head coach or a bad head coach? No. This has nothing to do with Deshaun Foster's coaching ability. It doesn't say anything about Deshaun Foster. It just doesn't. But people are going to make more of it than you should. To me, I just think it's funny. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's going to be people that are going to run with that mission statement because that's what you saw. I get it, but we just all know if you stumble and bumble in a press conference or a media days, it never correlates to your one-loss record ever. But the people that want to make too much out of press conferences and media days and what coaches say and what they don't say, they're going to have a field day with Deshaun. Right now, Deshaun Foster is right up there with Lloyd Christmas. Right? Right. Mm-hmm. Ready? You know what? You know what, Tyler? Most of them are going, UCLA went to the Big Ten? What? When did all this start happening? I wasn't paying attention. Does this mean UCLA moves to the Midwest? Are they moving the whole university? Right. Exactly. No. The fact that UCLA got the gravy train on Southern Cal to go to the Big Ten, they should be putting lips on backsides. You know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. You're the dude that mooched the ride. There's no doubt. And now Southern Cal can't get you out of the car. But yeah, Deshaun Watson. It's going to be Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Foster. It's going to be until UCLA starts playing games. Deshaun Foster's a goof. He couldn't complete a sentence at Big Ten media days. This is the guy who is getting up representing our university at media days with our first chance to talk to this new Big Ten audience and this contingent of Big Ten media. This is what that goober did. Forget the fact he played at UCLA. No one even cares at this point. The critics are just going to go crazy. Again, and if Deshaun Foster struggles at UCLA, it's going to be, yeah, remember that guy? I knew he was going to stink at media days. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. He's well, it's funny, and I'll spin this back to like Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, and look, this year you give him a pass. His father just died. But, Kiffin, he's had one decent podium trip at SEC Media Days in my time in Columbia. He hasn't been the wow that you think he would be when you see him doing the stuff like he did something with Juice Wells. We'll talk about that today. But, Kiffin on social media, he's a zinger, man. Look at that Kiffin. Or sometimes in his interviews, like he's having fun with Feinbaum. So you would expect no one's going to be more fun at the podium at SEC Media Days than Kiffin. I've been, around. So, but circling back to, Foster, if UCLA goes undefeated in their, first 5, 6, 7 games, no one's even going to care about Big Ten Media Days. No one's going to care. But if they struggle, they're going to go back to, he prepares his teams as good as he prepared himself for Big Ten Media Days. You know what's coming. Mm-hmm. Mm, absolutely. All right, we have kicked up here. We are, like I said, at Birdie's with Beamer at Cobblestone. We've kicked up our live stream on our YouTube channel. And we're doing it through, and we'll explain this to you real quick. We'll tell you how the sausage is made real quick. We use StreamYard when we're mobile like this. You guys use it at Firehouse today. And right now we're on, and Tyler and I were joking about it, and Ryan Harris hits us up on the YouTube with a comment. It's like, any way you can get some light in there with Terry. Ryan, we love you. We've tried. The background here, it's very cloudy. We're kind of up here on the patio. We've tried different angles. Right now I look like, and you and I were joking about it, I look like that guy on Dateline NBC that's in the silhouette that talks like this. So you can't recognize his voice. And he's like, blowing the whistle on somebody. Yeah. Right. So, unnamed person, tell us about your time in the Gambino crime family. Well, let me tell you something. Here's the deal. That's what I look like. Ryan, you are correct, sir. We're sorry. We're trying. We're seeing if we can do something. But right now, I'm that guy. So we appreciate you asking about it, though, Ryan. But we're continuing to move everything around to see if we can get something done. But so far, we are failing miserably. But we'll keep working at it. So, as we like I said before, we'll have Shane Beamer at some point here on the show, as he will jump on with us and talk for a bit. Right now, he's just riding around the golf cart, yipping with people, because that's what he does. He's the host of this thing, but he doesn't play. So we'll have Shane later. Hopefully, Clayton White. Clayton White is playing the defensive coordinator. And I was talking to Clayton. I love Clayton. Clayton's such a good dude. And And we're just sitting there, yipping with him out in the parking lot. And he was, talking about how bad he is at golf and all this. And I guess the guy that's going to play with him said, don't listen to him. He's been out here since 9 a.m. working on his game. Right. It's the guy that walks up in his meticulous golf gear with his latest, graphite clubs and his $17,000 putter and driver. That guy typically stinks. He just does. Right. I'll tell you what happened one time. I think I told a story here once with Jay a while back. I don't golf. It's not my thing. But I'm working in Wisconsin, and I'm playing on the softball team. And the guy that's running the softball team says, hey, man, we're going to go play some golf, whatever day it was. He goes, hey, why don't you come along? I said, dude, I don't play golf. I go, I've got golf clubs that were made in like 1877. They used them to fight in the Civil War. And the only reason I got them is I used to rent an attic. When I worked in Youngstown, I rented an attic out to a buddy of mine. And 1 month rent was these golf clubs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or my girlfriend at the time used to go nuts. Where's the rent? Right there are the golf clubs. Or right there, I got a DeMarini softball bat. That's not rent. That's your fantastic bats. That's what I was trying to tell her when she's all mad at me. I go, do you understand that DeMarini bat is gold? She's like, oh, my God. The ball traveled 10, 15 more feet off a DeMarini bat. Those old school DeMarinis, they outlawed them in like half the leagues in the country. They were so good. But I got that. Oh, yeah, they wouldn't. Those things were phenomenal. DeMarini bats. Your batting average went up 20, 30 points when you had DeMarini bats. I did 1 year I was in a softball league using these DeMarini bats and these red dot balls that were like they could kill somebody. They could absolutely kill somebody. We had those balls and the DeMarini bats. I hit like 700. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But anyway, so I got these golf clubs. Oh, yeah, I thought that was phenomenal. So I had an arm growing out of my neck. I was taking steroids. I was the man. So I get these golf clubs and I go play golf. And I show up and this guy, Tim, and another buddy of ours that plays, and me, and then this guy because this guy, Tim, was a GM at a car dealership, and he invited one of his salespeople who was into golf or whatever. This guy shows up, all the latest Tiger Woods gear on. All of it. Yeah. Oh, he had everything. He's got the fancy, even little things you put on top of your clubs, little club mitts or whatever they're called. He had those. I mean, this guy's stuff was probably worth more than my car. So we get out there, and again, I was talking about this earlier in the show. I'm Happy Gilmoreing off the tee. I'm left-handed, right? I was borrowing somebody's right-handed putter to putt. I was just being a goober, having some fun. Chasing the beer cart, and I beat this guy. I actually beat him, which shows you how much he stunk, right? He was so mad, Tyler. He was so mad. He's getting ready to throw his clubs, and he was so annoyed that his world was wrecked for like 4 hours or whatever. It was hilarious. So yeah, that's my extent of golf. I don't golf. Just not me. All right, we'll get back in here on the halftime show. It's football in the 1 o'clock hour here on the game. We'll get you updated on Malik Clark. If you don't know what happened, the announcement was around noon. We will tell you who Malik Clark has chosen, verbally committing to the 4-star wide receiver from Rock Hill. It was South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida State, the finalists. We'll get into that next right here on the halftime show, live from Cobblestone on the game. We are hanging at Cobblestone in Blythewood. Birdies with Beamer going on again this year. Coaches and other media folks and ex-players and just, people interested in the Gamecock program. Could be boosters, just could be alum, whatever. Playing golf today for a good cause with Shane Beamer. Just driving around the golf cart saying hi to everybody. We'll have Shane on the show after 2. Jay will be here as well in a little bit as we are rolling the 1 o'clock hour football brought to you by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Malik Clark today, the 4-star wideout from Rock Hill, was going to announce his decision at noon. Was he going to play his college football at South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida State? No, again, it's a verbal. It can always change. And for a while, Tyler looked like South Carolina, North Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, right? And his announcement was the Florida State Seminoles. And when he was talking about the 3 schools, he said, Florida State's Florida State. And they are again. I mean, they've, at least after the last 2 years, they've become they're not what I shouldn't say what they used to be. I mean, they used to be a top 5 team every year competing for a national championship. But they're back to being a level 1 program. They should have been in the college football playoff last year. So I get it. You look at South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida State. If you want to, which of the 3 programs are going to give you a better shot at playing in the college football playoff right now? Obviously, it's Florida State. Sure. So I get it. I do. Totally understand. I mean, it's a verbal. You can always flip Tyler, but right now it's Florida State for Malik Clark. Right. Sure. Yeah, it does. And look, is it the end of the world? No, you got Lex Cyrus, the 4-star wideout from PA. You beat Penn State on Cyrus. That was a great get. He's very fast. And he's track fast. So he's not Nick Harbor fast, but he's track fast. So you get Cyrus in, but we weren't able to close the deal yet on Clark. Well, you're not going to stop recruiting him, right? No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's why, to me, the verbal is just nothing. I mean, the reason, and we talked about this early in the show as well, the reason that the verbal was there in the first place, it started, was if a kid said, look, here's where I'm going to play, the thought would be, okay, now the kid can be left alone. He can concentrate on playing his senior year, right? Yeah. How's that worked out, Tyler? No. And so the verbal is whatever. You can sit here all day and, if they verbal to your school, all right, great. Even though it doesn't mean anything. And if they verbal to another school, you can cuss all you want, but you can still recruit them. So there's still a chance. No, it's, you have no idea just how silly and stupid you look, because you do. Right. Right. No one says this. Wow, they're so passionate. I changed my mind. No. So Malik Clark has verbaled to Florida State earlier today. All right. So one more thing about Deshaun Foster, then we're going to move on. Foster told The Athletic after his podium debacle, he said that, quote, I was going to go through my opening speech and I was just like, the media would rather ask me questions than me talking to them. I know some other coaches might have gone up there and talked for 20 minutes and didn't give you guys anything. So he thought he would just stop. And he kind of caught himself in mid-riff and said, you know what? I'll let these guys just ask me questions. It just came off really clunky. And he's being compared. Basically, there are people say, man, you ought to go to the men's clinic in South Carolina for that brain fog. But anyway, so that's Deshaun Foster's explanation. He kind of stopped in the middle of the speech he said, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and yap. I'm going to give these guys a chance to answer questions. I know. And the other thing about it, all you had to do was this. Now, if this is true, this is real, or if he's just covered himself, fine. I don't care. But let's just say that was true. All you had to do is say, you know what? I had this stupid long speech prepared, but you guys would rather ask me questions and hear me yap. I'm opening this up for questions. Go for it. That's all you had to do. Very simple. So, anyway, that's Deshaun Foster's explanation for Big Ten Media Day, which did not go very well. All right, we're talking football here in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. We'll get back to some more sound here in just a little bit that Tyler did such a fine job pulling for us. We'll get to some Lincoln Riley here in a little bit. We got to get to James Franklin, right? I mean, James Franklin spoke to the media, and matter of fact, I want to get to James Franklin before I get to Lincoln Riley. We'll say one thing about Lincoln Riley. As obviously Big Ten Media Days going on yesterday, Riley talked to the media. I don't know. I really don't know what Lincoln Riley did to Paul Feinbaum. But, I mean, I'm telling you, I have never I don't know what it is about Lincoln Riley that makes Paul Feinbaum so angry. I guess he picked Southern Cal over LSU. I guess. I'm just like this whole thing with Lincoln Riley, doesn't, go to the college football playoff. He should get fired this year. What? I mean, if Southern Cal goes 4-8, I get it, right? But if Southern Cal, who is a very inexperienced green quarterback, and are replacing some folks, and they're doing a lot of portal stuff, they're trying to to actually try to play defense for a change. If they win 8 or 9, and they're in a new league last time I checked, if they win 8 or 9 games again this year, Lincoln Riley's not going anywhere. This whole thing, I've heard Feinbaum double and triple and quadruple down on Lincoln Riley, and I'm like, what? I know he lost his mind on Ryan Day too. And hey, look, I get it. You want listeners and clicks and eyeballs, and Paul Feinbaum every now and then just goes nuclear on something, and the whole world talks about it, and that's good for Paul. But I'm just if Ohio State goes to college football playoff, which they should, and let's say they get to the semifinal. You and I both said they should play for the championship. Let's say they get to the semifinal and lose a close game. Let's even say they lose a close game to Michigan, and they finish 12-2 or whatever. I don't know. They lose 2 games all year, and they make the semifinals. Ryan Day's coming back. He's not going anywhere. No, I'll say this. If you lose to Michigan and underachieve in the college football playoff tournament, then he's got troubles. I think if he at least gets to the semifinals and they lose and they don't get blown out, and let's say they lost a close game to Michigan. Don't get me wrong. There would be some pretty annoyed people in Columbus, but I think he would come back. But just this idea that if he doesn't win a national championship, he should get fired, that's ridiculous. I mean, I think, look, Ohio State's got the second best team in America on paper. Maybe the best team in America on paper. They should play for the championship. They should beat Michigan because, look, Michigan's lost a lot of players. They lost their head coach. I think Ohio State should beat Michigan pretty easy and should roll their way to the championship game. But I don't think Ryan Day is automatically fired if he doesn't win the national title. I will get back in here. Football. In the 1 o'clock hour. We will hear from James Franklin and Lincoln Riley from Big Ten Media Days next. We are live at Cobblestone Birdies with Beamer, the halftime show on the game. What we're talking about is Birdies with Beamer. We're here at Cobblestone, broadcasting live up until we don't want to anymore, I guess, Tyler. As again, we're here with Birdies with Beamer. Coaching staff will be hanging out with us. As many members we can get. The head ball coach, Shane Beamer, will be here as well, probably 2 o'clock hour. He'll speak to the media somewhere between 3 and 3:30 is what we're guessing. As they're trying to get this sucker done, because 1 minute looks decent out, next minute looks like we're ready to get the monsoon. So, lucky us. All right, football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. James Franklin, Penn State head coach. The 12-team playoff has been built perfectly for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions because they have finished. Now, I didn't get a chance to look at them in the final college football playoff rankings year after year after year, but I know that James Franklin has finished in the AP top 11 4 times in his coaching tenure at Penn State, which obviously would firmly put them in the college football playoff. I think top 12 James is a good nickname. That's just me. By the way, if Franklin makes the college football playoff, which they should at Penn State, their schedule is pretty much cake. He's going to go for a contract extension, a raise, or a new job. Exactly. He's going to say, that Paterno statue? How about a Franklin statue? All right, let's get James Franklin. This is cut 4, Tyler, talking about winning 10 or 11 games at Penn State and the feeling of the fan base.
They're guys that embrace that we're at a place like Penn State where we've been able to consistently, for the most part, win 10 or 11 games. But that's not the expectation at Penn State. They chose Penn State, just like I chose Penn State, to compete for championships, and we embrace that. But we are one of the few programs in the country you can win 10 or 11 games and people are unhappy. So we embrace that. We're excited about those opportunities. And it starts for us at West Virginia in Morgantown, which is going to be a challenging opening game.
That's what you need to say if you're at Penn State. You need to say that in general. I always love and we say this all the time about expectations. Expectations are good. It means people think you don't suck when you have expectations. Now, there are unreal expectations and there are expectations. At Penn State, you don't take the Penn State gig going, man, if we win 9, 10 games, go to a couple of these New Year's Day bowl games, finish third in the Big Ten, I can stay here forever. That's not the way this works. It doesn't roll that way in Happy Valley. They're used to competing for national championships. And James Franklin at some point has got to compete for a national championship. Now, again, 12-team playoff, perfect for Penn State. Perfect. They will get this year. If Penn State does not make the college football playoff this year, that's a huge problem. It's set up for them. Again, their schedule is pretty easy. They should be a 2-loss team tops. They should land in that top 11 to get themselves in the college football playoff. There's just no reason not to. Franklin is recruited well. They just can't run an offense. He's always changing offensive coordinators like he changes his underwear. They've got to – I don't know if it's Franklin meddles in the offense a lot because, he's an offensive guy. I don't know, but they just – if they had a decent offense, they already would have been in the college football playoff maybe. And Franklin can't get over the hump against the Ohio States and the Michigans. Just can't do it. Remember last year, the Michigan game where Michigan did not throw a pass in the second half? They just ran Penn State over, just beat them up physically. They basically spent 30 minutes being their daddy. Penn State, I think, makes the college football playoff this year. With that schedule, they got a bunch of guys coming back as well. There's no reason why the Nittany Lions don't get in, but James Franklin's right. I lived in PA for 7 years, roughly. Those people are all about Penn State football. They are. I know I get it in Philadelphia. Football-wise, they love their Eagles. Pittsburgh, they love their Steelers. But on Saturday, the entire state loves Penn State. I remember when I first got there, they had cardboard cutouts of Joe Paterno all over the malls. It's kind of creepy. They had these Penn State stores. It just was They are, I mean, we talk about crazy fan bases in this country. Penn State is a crazy fan base. Their fan base expects championships. We saw some of the ugliness of that fan base during the Sandusky stuff. They're all about Penn State in the state of PA. So yeah, Franklin's got to make the college football playoff coming up here at some point. Because that fan base, I mean, there's a certain point where it's like, look, bro, they expanded this thing to 12. Your excuse is gone. So James Franklin is not wrong. Penn State is a fan base that you can win 10 games. If you finish third in the Big Ten and you go to the Citrus Bowl, they're not happy. They're just not. So we'll see what James does in the world of expanded playoff. I do believe, again, Penn State will land in the college football playoff. Football, in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Oh, it's raining. It's raining. So we'll see what's going on here at Cobblestone with Birdies with Beamer. Again, this is not a PGA Tour sanctioned event, correct, Jay? So, you're not just playing out in the rain because there's a nice purse involved. So we'll see what goes on. And like I said, we'll get coaches on as soon as guys come in. We'll have the head football coach here, I'm guessing, in the 2 o'clock hour, have him riff with us a little bit, hang out. Yeah, we'll ask a couple football questions, but we'll just have some fun. Like we usually do with Shane at this event, we'll have some fun with him and talk more than just football. Because there's going to be a lot of football questions going on in the main ballroom during the press conference. Got a lot of questions at SEC Media Days, both with the national media and the local media. So we'll talk some other stuff with Shane Beamer. I'll tell you what I want to find out. We had Shane on after he hit the podium at SEC Media Days, and he was taking his kid to go see Dude Perfect. I want to hear how that went. So we'll talk to Shane Beamer about that. Like I said, Big Ten Media Days. We're going to get some Lincoln Riley in here in just a little bit as well. Obviously, the ACC has had their media days. Mario Cristobal took the stage. There's a lot being expected of the University of Miami this year. Everyone thinks this is the year Cristobal and the Canes will pop. We'll see. Cristobal is a great recruiter. He's done a really nice job adding talent in Coral Gables. So we'll see if Miami steps up. A lot of people think Miami's going to play for the ACC championship. They've got Cam Ward, a high-level college quarterback. Cam Ward, remember, he left Washington State because they no longer were in a conference. Landed at Miami. So I'm guessing the NIL money was more than Florida State could offer. And you think to yourself, let's bring a quarterback. But he also did a little bit of flirting with the NFL. And I think he was told, you got some things you got to do better, Cam Ward, if you want to be a second-day draft pick in the NFL draft. So Cam Ward, we'll get a little bit of Mario Cristobal about Cam Ward as well. All right, it's football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Monday, it gets started. We're going to ask you, the Gamecock fan in Columbia and the Midlands, to pick your best Gamecock sports moment since the year 2000. We're picking from football, baseball, men's and women's basketball. We're going to have Twitter polls next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to take those 4 winners, and we'll talk about those 4 winners on Friday. And then Monday, we'll take those 4 winners and have a final poll that will run all the following week. At the end of the week, we'll find out what you think because you're doing the voting. The best moment in Gamecock sports history since 2000. We're going to start it up on our 1075 The Game Twitter X platform Monday from the game. We'll come back in here. We will talk some Lincoln Riley and maybe get some Mario Cristobal in as well. Football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors on the game. Hanging out at Cobblestone, Birdies with Beamer here in Blythewood. Halftime show, Terry Ford. Jay will jump on here in just a little bit and hang with us as well. Shane Beamer will be on, some of the coaches as well. Well, the rain is starting to, the wind is starting in our direction. And we got a little rain, a lot of rain. Wow, we got a lot of rain now. It's coming down. And so we'll see how that affects the tournament here at Birdies with Beamer. We're in the 1 o'clock hour, football here on the halftime show. If you missed it, Malik Clark, 4-star wideout from Rock Hill, has verbal to Florida State. So South Carolina loses out on the 4-star wideout, the in-state number 2 rated prospect in the state in 2025, I do believe. But again, it's a verbal, doesn't mean anything. And if you're South Carolina, you'll continue to try to flip Malik Clark to try to get him to sign a letter of intent for the early signing period. Tyler Head's back at Mission Control. Jay Phillips is here. Kale's here. Haley, we're just hanging out, knocking down some Chick-fil-A, which is never, ever not good. Ever. All right, Tyler, let's jump in here, get some more stuff from Big Ten Media Day. We'll start with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley talking about Southern Cal and their place in the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, we are at the top of the Big Ten conference. I mean, we're at the top of any conference. I don't ever look at ourselves below anybody, and I never will. Listen, 2 years ago, look where Ohio State and Oregon were 2 years ago. Look what they took over. Look what we took over. It takes time. I'm not a magician. I can't wave a magic wand and everything just be perfect right away. But find one area that we had to make progress. So this thing's got momentum. It's coming. Nothing's going to stop it. That's fine. They started at a different point. We'll see where it ends up.
Interesting comment, wasn't it, Tyler? Very interesting. It's sort of not as brash as Texas because, Texas invented brash, but it's still kind of like you were 8-5 last year, bub. How many trips to the college football playoffs have you had? Yeah. Southern Cal hasn't been in the college football playoff. They haven't been really high level good since the Bush push. You're just, come on, man. You're 8-5 last year. You couldn't stop anybody if they gave you 22 guys on defense. How about this one? Just go in and say, hey, we're really happy to be here in the Big Ten. At Southern Cal, we always have confidence that we're going to be a good football program, and we can't wait to see how we stack up in our first year in the Big Ten. How's that sound? Well, it's one of those things where, again, under Pete Carroll, Southern Cal was dynasty-like, right? Under John McKay, they were competing for national titles. John Robinson competing for national titles. But since Pete Carroll left, what have you been? An above-average program at best, right? Yeah. And so it's like, just chill, dude. Just kind of like you're going to a new league, you're transitioning. You could give all those cool speeches to your players. You don't have to say it, out loud. You could just go in and go, look, guys, we're going to the Big Ten, but we're not scared. The Big Ten's got Ohio State, and they've got Michigan and Penn State, and besides that, who's better than us the last couple of years? So, that's, and you can throw Oregon in the mix too, but it's just Lincoln Riley, what you said, and I agree with you. Yeah, man. Okay. You went out and you actually decided to hire a defensive staff and get a defensive coordinator who wants to draw up a defense that might actually keep somebody out of the end zone. Good for you. You made some additions on the defensive side of the ball. Good for you. We'll see how it plays out when everybody snaps the ball for real. And the other one is this. And you know what? Let me bring up their schedule real quick because it's always good radio. I'm hoping there's a method to my madness, and hopefully I'll be highly entertained here in just a second. I got to remember to look for them in the Big Ten, by the way. Okay, where are they at? Here they are. Okay. All right, so let's see how it's going when you're – oh, man, bummer. The place that's going to be the coldest weather trip will be Minnesota, but that's October 5th. I was hoping that Nebraska game is at the Coliseum. I was hoping they were going to spend November in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah. We'll get our Firehouse Subtext the hour coming up. We ran out of time. We'll get to that. Jay Phillips is here hanging out. We're going to get the ball coach Shane Beamer coming up here soon as well. From Cobblestone and Blythewood at Birdie's with Beamer, it's a halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head, and a cast of millions here on the game. Halftime show live from Cobblestone and Blythewood. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips is now here.
Is he?
Yeah, well, you knocked down that Chick-fil-A. I noticed you did that before.
Chick-fil-A, man.
On. Got a box for the road like everybody else put one in their car?
I'm not that guy. I am not that guy.
We ought to have, how many boxes of Chick-fil-A would David Dare take?
All of them?
Bet 10 of them piled in the back of his
All of them?
Beamer.
Well,
all
they
right.
were just there. I just thought
If you're listening, Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, we appreciate you. Also, our special guest host for this segment or two is our buddy Shane Beamer, head football coach at South Carolina. So, you enjoying this golf outing with your name on it, sir?
I am. Great people out here, great group. Weather's not cooperating, obviously, but fun kind of catching up with everybody and watching everybody else get out here and hit the ball a little bit.
And we had some luck the last couple years with weather, though. It was
what define luck, Terry, when it's 92 degrees with 80% relative humidity.
You might not remember last year, Shane, as Jay talked to you last year as he was sweating profusely with no shirt on. Do you remember that last year?
I do.
I did not take my shirt off.
Yeah, I did. And we had the discussion about, I think it was it start, stop, bench or something?
Yeah,
start, bench, drop.
And it was a classic rock,
Yes.
and I think I disappointed a lot of you guys with some of my
We did start,
selections.
I forget how that came up.
Yeah.
The Stones and something last year. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Langston lives in Dallas,
Uh-huh.
and so every day he came out. We got him credentialed last week,
Mhm.
and so he brought local pizza. He brought local Tex-Mex,
Yeah.
and then he brought 2 kinds of local Texas barbecue. And so Thursday morning, I'm doing the show with Preston Thorne and Bill Gunner, and Bill's out here. And so Preston had me start, bench, drop the foods.
Oh,
And I was like, well, that's kind of like, start, bench, drop, man, old Mays, and Aaron, because the
Yes.
food was so good.
Yeah.
But I dropped the pizza because it's pizza.
Yeah.
And then it was a bench Tex-Mex, and I started the 2 kinds of Texas barbecue.
but
which were
those brisket tacos, man.
the Tex-Mex
that
was something else, man.
Yeah.
That was
So, okay, so we got to ask you, forget about we'll talk football. You get ready to talk a lot of football. How was Dude Perfect?
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Now, what do you do at this place relative to when we watch them on YouTube?
Yeah, great question. So we went out. I saw them around the Masters this year. My son's a huge fan. My wife and I love what they stand for, and we're huge fans. So we saw one of their shows in Charlotte about a year or 2 ago. We saw them in Augusta around the Masters this year. And when we saw them, they made the comment to Hunter, my son, hey, if you're ever in Dallas, come by and see us. Well, you can't tell a 10-year-old that and think he's going to forget. So when he put 2 and 2 together that we were going to be in Dallas for SEC Media Day, it was, can I come? And then can we call Dude Perfect? And reached out to him. One of the members there, his wife is from Columbia, so
cool.
he's familiar with the Columbia area
Yeah.
as well. But you go, and it's pretty fascinating. They invited us to come by, and it was really it's just like a warehouse and an office park, and they're actually moving locations.
Mhm.
So the location we went to, they were moving out. They were actually filming one of their videos in there that day when we were there, so we got to watch the video, kind of see where they do stuff. It's basically just a kids or an adult playground,
Right,
right?
right.
I mean, basketball courts and
Right.
everything else you can think of. And then they're building moving into a new facility, and currently in the process. They took us over there and let us see that. But they were amazing. That was the day that the college football playoff or the college football video game came out.
Right.
So they, in my honor, they're all A&M guys. So they played A&M versus South Carolina as well, and just great guys. So it was a lot of fun. My son had a blast, and really cool day out there as well. So to answer your question, you really just kind of walk around and see all the things that they have and the things they get to do.
Do you get to participate? I mean, did they let you?
I think they would if we wanted to. The problem was they had moved out pretty much in the facility they're in. Really, the only thing left in there was the basketball court and what they had set up for their final video that they're doing in that facility. And then the other one, they didn't have all their stuff in there yet. They were still in the process of putting it all in. So I think you could certainly participate in anything you wanted to do, but it was just they were in between locations, so they didn't have a lot for you to really be able to participate in.
Well, that really just leaves the opening then for Hunter to go down.
Oh, yeah. He's already looking at it, Jay. Like, when can we go back? Hey, we play Oklahoma.
I was going to say, you go to Norman.
Oh, yeah, he's already, trust me,
That's
he's already brought it up. Like,
That's
buddy,
right.
I can't, but let's talk to your mom
That's
about
right.
it. Maybe she can run you down there.
So what's your favorite video?
Oh, man. He showed me, my son shows me all of them as well. I mean, they're all great. any of the stereotype videos I think are hilarious and so true. The airplane stereotypes I think are great that they do. The beach stereotypes that my son showed me a couple weeks ago are hilarious. So I think they're all really, really good. Appreciate what they stand for as a dad, and that's what I've told them, that as a dad, I don't mind my son being on YouTube watching their videos because of what they stand for, and they're great guys and love to talk college football and whatnot as well. So I'd probably say any of the stereotype videos are great.
Now, let me ask, did you guys, now you lived in Norman, so you get a lot of that kind of food anyway, but did you stop and eat anywhere that you wanted to go eat while you were in Dallas, or just get right back out?
We just got back to it. So we flew out, we landed, we went straight to the hotel, and then the players, Boogie and Debo and Luke and Steve Fink and Justin King and our contingent, they flew right back. And then my son and I, we left the hotel, and that's why I was in a rush with you guys.
Sure.
I didn't mean to be rude,
Oh, it
but
was okay.
I literally had an Uber waiting outside for me coming on the way, and my son's looking at me like, "Dad."
Well, and Hunter wanted no part of. I put the headset on him, and he was like, "I'm not talking."
I think he was done. I think I told him we'd be done about SEC Media Day around 1:30, and we're headed to Dude Perfect. And I think at that time it was probably about 2:00.
Yeah.
He was not happy with me.
No.
So we jumped in an Uber, but thankfully Steve Fink had before we went out there had planned on having some food brought to the hotel. So it was some sort of like, I don't know where, but it was like Tex-Mex barbecue ribs, brisket, all that stuff. So we ate that in the Uber on the way to Dude Perfect as well.
The funniest thing, the look on his face, because when Jay puts the heads on, he's like, I have no desire to do this. We've all, as
I
parents,
asked him earlier when I saw you upstairs. I was like, "Hey, you come on the radio?" He was like, "Yeah, So I figured he would, but by then he was just like, "Man."
We have all, as parents, gotten that look from our kids of, I want to go do what I want. It's time for me to go do. Dad, you promised me.
Yes.
We've all gotten the dad, you promised me look.
There's no doubt. And myself and my wife, Emily, and his sisters are killing him. Like, you can't, you held up like 10 fingers, like you're on the radio. They don't see you.
I don't want him to get picked on.
He's good.
So
I don't want him to get
he's got it pretty good. So he's probably listening right now and shaking his head and laughing.
Well,
buddy.
if he ever wants to come back down to the studio, we're right across from the State House, Hunter. We'll just come say hey.
We will.
And we'll
I know he'd love that.
Yeah, we'll set him up with something that he'll definitely want to talk about.
If there was something though, if you ever go back, when you go back to Dallas, we found maybe the most fun thing ever: bowling with footballs.
Really?
It's called bowl games.
Okay.
And you go in, and it's like a mini little like indoor football setup, football field. They've got bowling pins on each side, 10 pins. It's like by the width of a field.
Okay.
They give you footballs, and you throw at bowling pins. The first
it's
person
like
knocked down 10
cornhole
wins.
meets bowling meets darts.
Ooh, and they're actual bowling pins.
They're real
pins.
bowling pins and real.
And
I'm thinking they're high school footballs.
Yeah, probably.
And you just stand like 20, 30 yards from the other side, and you just
first one to knock down all 10 wins,
down.
man.
Such a simple game, and somebody's made a fortune
A
on
ton.
that.
You know what I'm
Just
thinking?
of that.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking college students
Yep.
having a good time in Columbia, throwing footballs at ball. I say we three have money. Well, you have the money, and we'll just have Shane. We'll have Shane invest, and we'll run it.
Somebody you asked me that. I was like, I don't know if Columbia wants. I mean, Dallas is it's like Atlanta. There's as many people in Dallas as there are in our whole state.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sustainable in downtown Columbia or not. But it's
intriguing.
It was fun.
But we had the axe thing that already scares the hell out of me. Have you
Yeah,
done that?
holding a beer, throwing an axe, Shane. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Doesn't seem like a good combination.
I know he was a lot better than me, but the first time I did it, Aaron Rawl, who used to pitch for Carolina, his wife works with my wife, and they had their Christmas party, and Aaron and I were there. And I pitched in high school. Again, he pitched in the Southeastern Conference, but once he was like, "Man, just pretend you're pitching when you throw the you can't like wind up and do it right, but with the arm motion, because I was trying to throw darts.
Yeah,
and then when I realized he was right, like, hey, throw it. And all of a sudden, I was nailing it, man.
Getting the groove.
Yeah, and then I realized, all right, you know what? If you have more than 2 beers and start doing this, somebody's in trouble.
Sorry about your chest, sir. Let me get that axe out.
Yeah.
Well, the football thing was fun because you're trying to throw at the head pin like bowling, and all you're doing is grounding them, right?
Yeah.
And then it hits you. Wait a minute, lofted at the pins.
Yes.
Once you lofted at the pins, then all of a sudden you started hitting some. But yeah, everybody is trying to hit the damn head pin.
Yeah.
But you know what? It'd be fun for that to be a good.
Yeah.
Like I know you love the team building stuff. Like
no, I like
fun.
that. That's good.
You can put that into the.
Really can. We were already looking at things like next type functions and events we could do. We did actually. It's funny you said that with the techniques and throwing. We did last night. We had a team dodgeball tournament with the coaches.
Oh, that's
so the coaches were involved. So every coach you're going to see here today, they're all walking around like with their shoulders are sore. I came in this morning and Mike Furry and Clayton White, it was like, is your shoulder hurting? And it was the same thing. You have dodgeballs and we're all throwing them. And you're like throwing them straight at the ground, and you realize you got to like loft it and put some air on it. But you had some coaches led by me probably that I think your head was on a swivel because the players were coming for you.
They were.
I was probably only behind Luke Day, our strength coach, who they were on a mission for. So
they want to get back.
Proud to say that my team, me and Sterling Lucas, our team made it to the championship game, but lost to the them
lost to the specialists.
Yes, yeah.
Did they get you?
There's some accusations of them not completely playing by the rules last night and all that as well. A lot of talk in the facility this morning.
Let's face it, rules are gray areas anyways. You don't really need to. Now, the football thing, the throwing at the pins could be fun for a football team because you got your quarterback room, and then you got some guys, like Luke and a few others who probably played quarterback in high school.
Yeah.
But like the linemen would love to watch this.
Exactly.
So that could be.
It's good.
It was
fun.
It was.
But how about the guys? There was a couple guys this always happens because there's some dudes more competitive than others.
Yeah.
You got a guy. There was a couple guys. One guy was working on his form, right?
This one guy was just slinging them.
I mean, this one guy sidearming. He's throwing like Joe Milton, right? And so then there was two other guys who were warming up together.
Yep.
I'm holding a beer and throwing a football. I'm like, guys, this isn't the combine.
Right.
No scouts are here.
The one guy that was like rocket firing him, man. Like he was determined he was going to get it done fast.
It was hilarious.
It was cool.
It
was cool.
I'm ready for that press conference. Yeah, we found a quarterback where bowl games in Dallas. He was chucking it sidearm.
I like his arm motion there.
And they're thinking that somebody from the Cowboys is in there and going to see that guy throw and give him an opportunity.
Right. It'd be like discovering some musician in a tiny little club.
Well, we've all played pickup basketball against a guy that thinks the NBA scouts are there.
Yes. Yep.
So we all know how that goes. Same thing at this thing. There's a few guys that thought, I'm going to get discovered at bowl games. You watch me.
So everybody reports a week from today, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all start next Friday. Now, remind me, August, you're not limited. You can practice all
do whatever we want.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, no 15 days.
No, you're limited in how many days in a row you can practice, and you got to give them a day off, a certain number of days. But as far as the days that you're practicing, if we wanted to have them in there 20 straight hours, essentially, you're not limited. It's kind of wide open during preseason camp.
How different is it in the first week than when you played? When some of your coaches played, and I know you can't do 2-a-days as much anymore and things like that. But do you prefer throwing them into the fire? Do you bring them in slowly? Might it depend on the group of kids you have in any given season?
Yeah, great question. I think it's so much different for a lot of reasons. One, the game has changed in that you can't go out there and you do 2-a-days anymore. And
would Lou Holtz coach anymore?
I think there's a lot of coaches that would have a
Dick Vermeil would now. I can't do 3-a-days.
Yeah, I can remember coaching with my dad, and it was like, oh my God, like we can't do 2-a-days because I think my first year in college, I can remember doing like 2-a-day Monday, 2-a-day Tuesday, 2-a-day Wednesday, 2-a-day Thursday, 2-a-day Friday, and it's like, oh my God, we only got one practice on Saturday, and you're out there for 3 hours in full pads and whatnot. So I think the game has changed so much from that standpoint that you're limited in what you can do. But on the other end of the spectrum, couple things. So many of these high school prospects now, they come in January anyway. So, not that long ago, every high school recruit, they didn't get there till sometimes July. And literally a month later, they're in practice. Well, now most of our guys have been there since January, the freshmen, and the ones that didn't come in January, they got here in June. So they've been up here all summer. And then along those lines, the NCAA allows us now to do so much more with our players on the field during the summertime before we start practice. Now we can't have equipment out there. We're not out there in helmets, and we're not doing anything competitive with us out there, but you can at least, Sean Elliott can get out there and work with the tight ends, and we can watch Lenore Sellers and Robbie Ashford and the quarterbacks throw to the receivers and coach them and things like that. So you're so much farther along now. So to answer your question, I think you certainly can throw them to the fire, but it's also, you realize August is a long month, and that's one thing that I've spent a lot of time on, like how can we be better in the month of August to be better in September, because we haven't been good enough, and looking at how we do things and making sure we're healthy and fresh when we do get into the first game on August 31st.
In this off season, you've been quite busy, sir. This off season, what did you? And you're always learning and evolving. We've always talked. You're always looking to do things better, looking to do things different to maximize everything. What'd you learn from last year?
Ooh, great question. One that I said it in Dallas, and I meant it, just to re-emphasize what a thin line it is between winning and losing. And we were 5-7. I get it, and it's not like the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and hindsight being 2020, but it's realistic. We were a play or two away from minimum being 6-6, and maybe you have an opportunity to go win the bowl game, and the narrative and everything is completely different. But you could say that any year. It's probably my first season when we went 7-6. Some would argue, well, you're probably 2 or 3 plays away from being 5-7. I don't know. So just what a thin line it is, and realizing that we're not that far off. 2, that we got the right kind of people in our program. I did learn that. I don't know, and we're not patting ourselves on the back for being 2-6 and winning 3 in a row, but not many teams I don't think would have been 2-6 and come back. And the game against Jacksonville State was not pretty, and we found a way to win at the end. And Vanderbilt and Kentucky was a slugfest, and we found a way to win at the end. And then we had an opportunity in the last game. We didn't get it done. But to me, you're not able to do that if you don't have the right people. We didn't always look pretty, but nobody could question how hard our guys played down the stretch and how much it meant to them. So we got the right kind of people. And then for me, really probably just big picture is just real looking and saying that I've learned that we need to be better in September. We haven't been bad, but if you just look, and now part of that, we played Georgia every year in September, and Arkansas and North Carolina, but we just haven't been great in the month of September. So for me, it's looking back and seeing, okay, how can we be better in the summertime and August to allow us to be better in September, hopefully. So tweaking some things from that standpoint, but learned a lot. But I think also I learned a lot after 2021. I learned a lot after 2022, and you're always working to find ways to be better the next season.
And you bring up a great point, is that you really learn when things are good, everybody's great, right?
Right.
Everybody's laughing, everybody's your buddy, everybody's sliding back. You learn when things aren't as great as they've been, really who's in the hole with you, so to speak, right?
No, you do. You learn that pretty quickly, and then that's part of it. I mean, it's year to year, and that's just life in this league,
Right.
I mean, Dan Mullen's a good friend of mine, and he plays for the SEC championship in December of 2020, and less than a year later, he's out of a job, and it's just life in this league. It's what have you done for me lately? And I get that, and I realize that also at the end, my responsibilities to the players, coaches, staff, and the people in our program. And that's what I try and, focus my time on. But every single season you learn. And I was very cognizant too, I know it's human nature when we finish 2022 like we did, beating Tennessee and Clemson, and there's all these high expectations to think, okay, we've arrived and it's just automatically going to happen. And I was very, obviously not enough, but very cognizant and intentional about not letting anybody take a breath or get complacent, and let's continue to push the envelope and find ways to be better going into 2023. And ultimately I didn't do a good enough job of that. And probably really the other thing too, to answer your question, was just understanding that how much different every year is year to year, because you're turning over a third of your roster every single season. And I told this story. We spoke at a high school coaches clinic here up in Greenville on Monday morning, and was talking to the high school coaches. I mean, it really hit me in the face when we beat Tennessee, we beat Clemson, we go to the bowl game against Notre Dame, and then a week and a half after the Notre Dame game is when the spring semester starts here at Carolina. So we have our very first team meeting. It's always on that Sunday night before what has been the national championship game as well. So it's on that Sunday night. I can remember walking into that meeting in January of 23, and there's 39 new people in that room that weren't even at the Gator Bowl with us. 39. And we had just been in Jacksonville playing Notre Dame a week and a half earlier. And now you got 39 new people with, high school signees, transfers. And there's this, notion that me as a head coach, okay, Shane, well, these guys, they've heard me say this before, and they've heard me tell this story, and I'm not going to say it again because they've heard it. Now it's kind of like, forget that. Like
Right.
they can't hear it enough. There's a third of your roster that hasn't heard that, and just realizing that every single season is starting over and treating it like it's year one every single year, doing a better job of building connections and relationships with everybody in the program.
I got one more for you because I know you got to get in here because we're going to start a little bit early. I think Fink will come get you here soon.
I haven't seen Fink's face up against the window.
He'll be here. He'll be here in a second, though. We don't need Fink hollering at any of us. Shane doesn't need it either. Your PR skills were on display with Rocket Sanders. It was funny. You mentioned it multiple times. The rocket science, but kind of reminding people, hey, this kid was really good 2 years ago. Talk about what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And I think it worked because, as you know, he was then voted on the second team all preseason or a preseason all conference team. Look, we can take those votes and whatever for what they're worth, but I don't know how much of that was part of your mission relative to just reminding people, hey, this kid is a really, really good football player. But and I know you don't like to single one guy out, but there seems to be a lot on him, maybe not pressure, but what does he do for himself? What does he do for you guys in terms of that remembering 2 years ago when this is a kid who was a real dual threat out of the backfield for Arkansas?
Yeah, I don't want to say it wasn't necessarily a point to make. I knew I was going to get asked that question going out there about Rocket Sanders, and rightfully so. And Chip Morton, our associate strength coach, he came up with the rocket science, term, which I thought I liked.
It's a good line.
Pretty good. It's a good line. Nobody laughed. I thought it was great.
It's a good line.
It was good.
But
it's hard to make those guys laugh in the ballroom, man.
Yeah.
Day one, day four,
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you guys and how much y'all enjoy what you do.
This is part of what we do.
No question.
We like laughing.
Yeah. But just to remind people, and really, Rocket knows what kind of player he is, but reminding people how good he was. And I really like our running back group. We bring back Juju McDowell. We bring back, DJ Braswell, who played some last year and had a huge blitz pickup on that game-winning touchdown pass against Kentucky last year. But then to be able to add Oscar Attaway, Jawarn Howe, Rocket, Matthew Fuller is a young freshman we're excited about as well. There's Fink.
Yeah, we knew he'd be coming.
Well, you predicted that.
I knew he'd be coming. I knew he'd be coming. He's ready.
Exactly.
He's ready.
But I had to remind myself in a lot of ways because he didn't have the 23 season that he wanted because of injuries. But then when we were trying to recruit him here, when you go back and watch that 22 season, it's like, ooh, he just brings an element, not just running the ball, but out of the backfield and experience and playing in this league. And he's quick to remind Marquell Blackwell that when Marquell was coaching at Ole Miss, that Rocket ran for a career high, like 200 something yards against Marquell's Ole Miss Rebels. So he's a great young man and has worked really, really hard to put himself back in position to go have an awesome 24, which is great for us and then him for his future as well. He's really been diligent and focused on working and getting the job done to allow him to go have the year that he wants to have this year.
Real fast, one more vacation, little bit of a break, little
getaway.
Bit.
Yeah, sort of. We got we have this today. Obviously, we got a camp tomorrow. We got a recruiting event tomorrow night, and then after the recruiting event ends, probably will try and just sneak down to the beach maybe for a quick little Saturday, Sunday. Get back up here and get ready to roll again next week. But I'm beyond excited about getting started next week. We've had an unbelievable. I know every coach says it, but we really have had a good summer and great since January. Got a great group of guys, like I mentioned last week, that are very, very hungry to get going and never been more excited to start practice here at Carolina than what I am right now.
We'll let you get going because Steve's hovering. Hey, we appreciate you all the time. Thank you for everything.
Appreciate you guys and all you do for Gamecock athletics and sports here in South Carolina.
It's fun,
thanks for all your time with us always. We appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Shane Beamer. We're jump in here, get a break, get ourselves back caught up. It's a halftime show live from Cobblestone. Birdies with Beamer right here on The Game. Thank you. All right, very cool. All right, Men's Clinic of South Carolina, 803-875-MENS. You could have brain fog and forget you have a live read like I just did. You could have trouble sleeping. Your life drive just isn't what it used to be, whether it's in the living room, the bedroom, the boardroom, the yard, wherever. Maybe the sleep isn't what it used to be. Your exercise, you're not as strong, not as fast, not as quick. You don't recover well. Any of these things happening, it could be as simple as low testosterone. One way to find out. Just call 803-875-MENS, Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Dr. Dan and the staff will set you up on a free confidential consultation. You tell them your story. If they think it could be low T, they'll do some lab work. If it does come back low testosterone, they will put you on a program to get you back to feeling like you again. The old you, get you back to that again. 803-875-MENS. It all starts with a free confidential consultation at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Maybe it's low testosterone that's holding you back. Go find out at the Men's Clinic. We just talked with Coach Shane Beamer here at Birdies with Beamer at Cobblestone and Blythewood. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. Gunner has made his appearance. Come on over here. Pop that on real fast. Second time you and I have ever sat together. So
Well, that's true because you were standing on Monday, weren't you?
yeah,
You were standing.
I was. Hey, you know what? Friday I did my first traffic I've done in my life, which I'll never do again.
Yeah, that was poor.
Yeah, that was pretty awful, wasn't it?
Bad. Yeah. You were in studio or something. Yeah, I heard. It was good enough. I heard that I went, oh, dear.
Oh yeah, why? Now I know why he never does the traffic.
People got lost.
Right, cars are colliding with each other. People jumping on people's porches with their vehicles. And then Monday, of course, I had to sit there and keep the station on the air until Jen showed up.
Woo.
So
Weather around here, man. It's a wrap around here today. I don't think we're in contention. We missed a lot of putts.
So well, you said you knocked down some birdies though.
I played good. I was pleased. I came in here, I guess, sandbagging. I said I had not played good this year, and was actually very pleased.
So you carried your group. So you can say it. I carried our group.
Yeah. Honestly, this is the afternoon ego of Bill Gunner, not the morning ego. But yeah, I was pleased. We had fun. I played with Caleb Jenneret, who was I think it's Jenneret, I believe, who is an offensive analyst, and then Clint Haggard, who is the trainer, obviously, and then Bob Gillespie, and we had some really good back and forth. Kind of Clint's been around, Bob's been around, I've been around long enough, not as long as they have, and we were actually laughing about this tournament and some of the things that had happened under previous coaches, Steve Spurrier in particular, who obviously Shane comes out and hobnobs and shakes hands and does everything, but Shane doesn't participate, whereas Spurrier not only participated, he expected to win.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I believe Steve Fink was in charge of it, and if Steve didn't put the proper players on his team, apparently he would get a scolding from Steve Spurrier.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what would happen?
So Spurrier's team, that has now been.
So Spurrier stacked his teams.
Spurrier would stack his team during the. We didn't have a Birdies with Spurrier tournament, but it was the press conference tournament. But that award goes to, now when you see Sterling Sharp, Harold Green, and George Rogers show up on the same team, you're like, we're all playing for second. We're all in the locker room with Larry Bird at this point.
I hear Sterling he's got some little mini scooter or something. He just flies around and plays his round in like an hour or something.
I don't know what he does, but when you see them on the scorecard, you're just like, well, we're all going for second today. So it was a fun round.
Nice.
Round. And now we'll see what everybody has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are there any questions left after SEC Media Days, locally, regionally, and now is there anything left?
No, we talked about that this morning. I think this might be a little more entertaining because you don't have the idiots, let's just call him that, who's like, hey, Luke Doty's here. Well, he played quarterback. He's your starting quarterback, right? Oh, you got the Auburn guy. Well, Robbie Ashford's got a leg up.
Remember that?
Yeah, I think you're going to have the local, well, I don't think, you're going to have the local people here today who know the team. And this is what Preston and I think you're going to get some more in-depth questions about a Lenora Sellers, about a Sean Elliott, what impact he's had. I know he's coming up in about a minute, so we got to wrap things up. But I think you're going to get more specific questions to the questions that we have instead of the national pundits who are like, hey, how
do you think Texas is going to do?
Yeah. Coach, you coached at Oklahoma. Is there bad blood going back there?
Anyway. All right, we got Shane in about 20 seconds roughly. So I'll release you now.
I'm good. Yeah, man.
Go in there. They got the food set up.
I'm actually going to probably hop in my car and listen on the way home. We got basketball tonight, so I got to go be dad for a little while.
Grab a cookie and get a handful of whatever they're putting up there, and walk out eating it.
Yeah, I'll walk right in front of Shane as he's starting. Oh, sorry, are we started?
Thanks for hanging out. Our buddy Bill Gunner, early game tomorrow morning, man. 6 to 9 with Preston and Jen. Here's Shane Beamer, Birdies with Beamer right now at Cobblestone on the game.
Still waiting on 3 scorecards. So let's get those scorecards in. Good luck beating Sterling's team as well. So I think everybody's just turning in those scorecards to figure out who's in second place as well. Thanks to Steve Fink and Michael Debates and everyone here at Cobblestone for putting this on. Appreciate all of you being a part of this. Don't take it for granted that you come out here and spend time with us out here on the golf course. It means a lot. So thanks for your time and being out here as well. Really appreciate Coach Maneri from the baseball team being here, Kaylin Anderson from women's golf, and Brady Greger from our men's golf team also being out here and being a part of this. Hate that the rain cut it short, but I know it was a tough day out there with the rain and cart path only, but saw some good golf. Obviously, Sterling and his team doing what they typically always do. Saw Phil Kornblut drain a big birdie putt back there on number 10 as well when I was riding around. So I had a chance to get around and see most of you guys. I apologize if I didn't get to your group and was able to spend some time with you, but do thank you and have much gratitude for you being a part of this event. Saw most of you in Dallas last